And today we will talk about chapter 17 to 22 in Anne of Green Gables by Ellen Montgomery. And yeah, without further ado, let's dive right into these 6 awesome chapters in Anne of Green Gables. So, we left off at a very sad point when Anne mistakenly made Diana drunk, and now her mother isn't allowing her to play with her. So, what's going to happen next? Let's dive right in. So, chapter 17, a new interest in life. So, what do you think? Do you think that Anne and Diana will ever play together again? When you were reading this, now we know they will, but when you were reading this, what did you think? I mean, I thought that they would play together again, even if by just secret. And also, what do you think? Do you think that Mrs. Barry will feel remorse when Diana comes to Anne's funeral? What do you think? Yeah, I think that she will probably feel a little remorse, but not as much as Anne would have hoped for. Or maybe she would. I don't know. Now, what do you think? Do you think that if you had been Anne, you would have gone back to school because, quote, that is all there is left in life for me, now that my friend has been ruthlessly torn from me? So yeah, what do you think? Do you think that you would have decided that you would have a new meaning in life and just start school again? I think so. I mean it's worth it because at school, without Diana, Anne's socially cut off from everybody. But at least at school she's connected, right? And she can make new friends and she can play. So I think that it will be a very good development. Now, do you think that Anne is ever going to find some new friends? Because sure, Diana was her bosom friend, but other kids are really nice to her, such as Ruby Gillis and a lot of other kids. So do you think that Anne will in the end find another friend? Maybe not as close as Diana, but I do think that she will find some other friends. Now, so what do you think? Do you think that if you had been Anne, you would have eaten the strawberry apple even if you knew that Gilbert had put it there? What do you think? Do you think you would still hold a grudge against Gilbert, or do you think that you'd have just given it up by now? Well, I probably wouldn't have. I probably wouldn't have. Wouldn't have actually given up my grudge. But when Gilbert wasn't looking, I think that I would pick it up and smuggle it away because, hey, it's a strawberry apple. It's nice. Actually, I've never eaten a strawberry apple, but it sounds really nice. So maybe not. So probably I would eat it when Gilbert was not looking. So, do you think that Mrs. Barry is ever going to see reason, or do you think that they're forever going to be separated, Diana and Anne, or maybe until they become grown up, right? And so, what do you think? about now let's actually turn to Gilbert, right? So the rivalry between Gilbert and Anne is as strong as ever, right? And they're just like trying to beat each other in everything, in just in school, right? From spelling to math to etc., right? But what do you think? Do you think that this would have been stressing and disturbing for you? If you were Anne or Gilbert, because you didn't want to be pushed so hard, or do you think it would actually be a bit fun? I think it would be a bit fun because I have somebody I can compete against, and it would also push me to get better grades and to actually do a lot of cool things, and also the satisfaction of beating the other will be very nice. So about Gilbert, right? Gilbert's still trying to be friends with her. So will Anne ever decide to be friends with him, or do you think that she's just going to put up that large wall, that large brick wall that's forever going to block him? And also, along with that, do you think that Anne's grudge has become, it's too old and she should just, try to become friends with Gilbert? Because right now, some people might say, hey, she should keep her grudge, but others will probably be like, well, that was a long time ago. You should just let it go, right? And so, what do you think? Do you think that Anne should just let it go, or do you think that she should keep it? Okay, so let's say that you have a friend that's close as Diana, even if you aren't allowed to play with. Actually, you don't have to think that, but just close friend, right? But if you were beaten by her, do you think that you would still mind, or do you think that you would just do you know you wouldn't mind at all because she's your bosom friend, or whatever you're gonna call them, like best friend, whatever? What do you think? Okay, chapter 18, Anne to the rescue. Okay, now here, so I just skipped a bit because at first I don't think that we really need to talk much about this, but now, do you think that did you think that Anne, so she actually managed to cure Minnie May? I think that we don't really need to talk about this. There isn't much to talk about it. But one question that I do have is, have you ever done something that you've really not wanted to do, but in the end it has all completely paid off? Or do you think that's never happened before? Because Anne, she took care of a lot of twins, but now, right, she managed to save Minnie May. And do you think that if Anne had really not come, do you think that Minnie May actually would have died? I think so. But at the same time, I think that Anne, I think that there would have still been just a little chance that she would have still lived, but that chance would have been very low. And when you were reading this part, were you thinking something like, oh, from now on, Diana's mother is going to love Anne, or were you not thinking that at all? When the part just began, I was like, this is when Diana's mother is going to forgive Anne. And sure enough, that did happen, right? And so Anne managed to get back to her friend, right? And do you think that Minnie May's case of croup were sort of like fate itself in working its own mystical, sometimes harsh powers? Because, that could be true, right? That was how, Minnie May was still okay. But in the end, another really great thing that happened is that Diana and Anne, they were allowed to play again. So, do you think that could have been fate? Maybe, right? Okay, chapter 19, a concert, a catastrophe, and a confession. So, I'm pretty sure that, like the definition of concert has really changed from, the early 1900s to now, right? Like back then, concert wasn't like, I don't know, a music festival, right? It was different, right? But still, do you think that you would have liked to go to that version of a concert? Yeah, I mean, first of all, if I went with my friends, that would just be extra fun, right? It would be like a fun outing, and I would also be able to stay up late, really fun. But I think that another big bonus would be that, it's just really nice to go somewhere and listen to to listen to a performance, and it would just be exciting and fun, right? A nice social gathering. So I think it will be exciting, but an actual concert will be much better. But like our modern version of a concert. So if you have a Marilla, would you have allowed Anne to go, or would you have just said, Anne, I mean, I know you want to go, but it's just nonsense. Don't go. I would have allowed her to go, considering that I myself have gone to like a lot of things such as that. I think that it wouldn't be very bad. I think that it would actually be fun for Anne, right? But Marilla was like, yep, you're not going, right? So do you think Marilla was unfair at this point? And Matthew, though, he said that Anne could go, right? So my first question here is, Marilla said to Matthew, you think I ought to let Anne go to the moon if she took the notion? So what do you think? I mean, this doesn't really matter. This question doesn't really matter. But what do you think? Do you think that Matthew would actually let Anne go to the moon? I'm pretty sure that he would be delighted for Anne to go somewhere like that, and especially because afterwards she'll have a lot to talk about, right? So I think that he wouldn't. If she could go, I'm pretty sure he would allow. What do you think? And do you think that Marilla was being too harsh on Anne by saying that she couldn't go to the concert? So yeah, final thing is, if you have an Anne, would you have wanted to go? Because, I've talked about this before, but, this isn't like, like one of the concerts that we are familiar with today, right? Like today's concerts are, they have music in them. The ones back then, they were more like, they were still interesting, but they didn't have like any music. They're sort of like, I'm not very sure, but I think they're just like a lot of performances. So what do you think? I think I would still want to go, because first it would be interesting, and second I will be with all my friends. So that alone will be very fun. Do you think that Anne will ever be like the other girls? And I don't mean like I'm not talking about her imagination or looks. I'm talking about things like her dress and things like that, because I'm gonna quote this: "True, Anne could not help a little pang when she contrasted her plain black tam and shapeless, tight-sleeved, homemade gray cloth coat with Diana's jaunty fur cap and smart little jacket." Unquote. And so, that's one example. But what I'm talking about is like those small things. Do you think that Anne will ever have them, or do you think that because she's an orphan girl, she'll just forever not be deprived of those things? What do you think? And also, one question, do you think that Diana, right? So, do you think that Diana and Anne are going to stay friends forever? And the reason I ask this is, because like Diana, Diana, she, like you would say that she's richer than Anne, because, well, like Anne, it's not like she possesses Marilla and Matthew's wealth, right? But what I'm saying is, Diana is a bit more privileged than Anne, right? I mean, she has more privileges, and because of that, do you think that in the future, Diana could maybe even abandon Anne to go to richer friends? Do you think that could ever happen, or do you think that's just not plausible because Diana's so nice? So what do you think? If you have an Anne and Diana and you jumped on a bed and it turned out there was some people in it, what do you think you would have done? Do you think you would have run away? Or do you think you would have just stayed there and apologized, saying that, you hadn't meant to? I think I would have stayed there and apologized, because running away and then confessing, I think, is even worse. I think that, just getting it done right there is like much easier. But I might just run away, maybe, but probably not. So if you have an aunt, right, and the next day, she learns about all of this from Mrs. Lind, about the predicament from Mrs. Lind, right? If you have an aunt, do you think you would have just thought, poor Diana, and do you think you would have just just ignored it, or do you think that you would actually apologize? I think I would have apologized like right then and there, but it would have been very scary. And I don't know if I could muster the courage, but if I did have the courage, I would definitely go. But getting that courage, I don't think it would be easy. How did you think, if you have a Miss Barry, how would you have reacted? And remember, so think about yourself as an old person, okay? Old person. You're an old person. You haven't had much fun, and here comes this young, bright, just this really curious person, very entertaining person, little girl, right? And how do you think that you would have reacted? I think that at first I would be a bit annoyed, but in the end, I think that I will feel nice. And I think it would just be because, one, it's entertaining, and second, I mean, it's not a big deal, right? It's not a big deal, and I think that I would just quickly forgive Anne, or even if, I would have forgiven anybody, really, because it was only a small deal. Like, they hadn't known, right? So they hadn't known about it, so I don't think that I would have made such a fuss about it, but if I had, then I would have quickly forgiven Anne. And along with the fact that she was really entertaining, it would be an easy choice. Do you think that, have you ever met a kindred spirit? Or do you think that's just something that you don't have? Because Anne's even found a kindred spirit in Miss Barry, right? So what do you think? Do you think that you can just easily find kindred spirits? Are there kindred spirits in your life?